And we are live. Welcome to the show. My name is Alex Alexander, coming to you from downtown Kailua Kona in Big Island, Hawaii. I made a video. I made a little video of it's just for myself, and it's a video for like inspiration to keep myself pumped up and motivated. And so I figured I'd share it with you folks. I don't know if people are really gonna like it as much as I do, but I really love it. So enjoy.
Players who implement strategies that get focused and intense, they win decades. They win multiple championships. You win for 2 or 3 years. You know how many guys I've known that have made money for 2, 3, 4 years that are ass broke now? You want to win? You want to be a millionaire? You got to quit being so casual. You walk slow. You talk slow. You implement things slow. You talk a good game. Around a dude like me, we will smash your organization. We come to play. We're for real. What are you? Cool? You're going to get your ass kicked in business, dude. Business is a sport. It's competitive. You got to get focused. You meet somebody wealthy, their family at one point was not wealthy. And then the one shows up. The one. One person changes the family tree forever. In my family, I'm the one. I want to win. I want to fight for my family. I want my mom and dad proud of me. I want my kids proud of me. I want me proud of me. Players who implement strategies that get focused and intense, they win decades.
Yeah, that's it. That speech kind of sums up a lot of what I've been going through, becoming, reactivating this part of me that's a high performer, high performance individual, really going after big goals. And so that's what I've been talking about on my podcast and on my channel here quite a bit. As part of that, I'm going to go through and read the daily laws with you. So this is a brand new book by an author named Robert Greene. If you're not familiar with Robert Greene, I highly suggest going out and getting familiar with him. He's has 7 books that are very influential in business and in life. They're great strategy books. The Art of the 48 Laws of Power, The Art of War, Seduction, Mastery. Now the Daily Laws. He has another one called The Laws of Human Nature. And so anyway, he describes himself as a historical documentarian author, like a journalist, like a historical journalist. And so he doesn't really write about what's right or wrong about power or any of that kind of thing. So it's a very subjective look. There's no morality in it. It's very, very subjective. This is what these people did, and the result was they got this amount of power. And so anyway, it's a really interesting take on a lot of different parts of life. Anyway, I'm going to read the book here because it's made to be read daily, and it has these little daily passages. So I'll just start out and I'll read the intro. And actually, I really like he dedicated to the memory of Brutus, the greatest cat who ever lived. Robert Greene, I really love watching this guy's interviews because he's this fella who, he writes about power and mastery and war and seduction and like this kind of like dark side of kind of a Machiavellian type character. It seems like, because that's what he writes about a lot. But really, seeing him on interviews and such, he's such a soft-hearted, just documentarian, kind of almost, very intellectual and such. So let's go ahead and read his book. It says, from the beginning of our existence as a species, we humans have depended on our connection to reality for our very survival and success. What this meant for our ancestors was that they had to become highly sensitive to their environment, detecting any changes in the weather, anticipating the presence of predators, discerning where opportunities for food might lie. They have to be aware, alert, and continually thinking about what the environment was telling them. In such an atmosphere, with the pressures so immediate and the consequences of any inattention being life or death, the human brain evolved as an instrument for helping humans to not only detect dangers, but also to slowly gain control of a treacherous environment. The moment our ancestors began to turn inward and give in to wishes and fantasies, reality rigorously punished them for their delusions and bad decisions. Today, so many hundreds of thousands of years later, we have the same brain designed for the same purpose, but because we have increasingly gained control of our environment and the physical pressures have loosened dramatically, the dangers have become more subtle. They come in the form of people, not leopards, and their tricky psychology and their delicate political and social games we have to play. And because of these less obvious dangers, our greatest problem is that our minds tend to become less sensitive to the environment. We turn inward, absorbed in our dreams and fantasies. We become naive to add to this dangerous brew. Our culture tends to fill our heads with all kinds of false notions, making us believe things about what world and human nature should be like, rather than what they actually are like. We take all of this for the truth and act on these misconceptions, and just as in the past, the environment and reality eventually punish us for our delusionary behavior. We may not lose our lives, but our careers, our relationships take wrong turns. We blame other people for our woes when all along the problem is inside of us. Stemming from our naivete and the fantasies we've absorbed, which unconsciously guide our actions. The following are some of the common false notions in our culture that can lead us astray. For instance, when it comes to our career, we believe that where we went to school, who we know, and who we are connected to is the key to our future success. How about I put something nice on for y'all to look at while I read? Okay, I have something really neat right here. Give me 1 second. There you go. How's that? I'll put that up, and I'll just put myself right down at the bottom so you have a whole full screen of something cool to watch. We think that making mistakes or failing of any kind of conflict are to be avoided at all cost, and that we need to be in a hurry to make money, gain attention, and rise to the top. We imagine that work should be fun, that boredom is bad, and that we can take shortcuts to becoming really good at things. We have the idea that creativity is something we are born with, a natural gift. We feel that everyone is equal and that hierarchies are a thing of the past. With people, we operate under the belief that most of our friends and colleagues like us and want the best for us. We think that those with a pattern of bad behavior can be trusted if they say they're reformed, that people full of conviction and a sense of outrage must be telling the truth, and that those in power, including our bosses, are not insecure. We imagine that people who are extremely nice and accommodating are not potentially making a dark and devious nature, that those who espouse progressive ideas and have a corresponding virtuous character, and that people will be grateful for any favors we do for them. With ourselves, we think that it's important to be honest and to tell others what exactly is on our minds. We feel that it's good to show off our best qualities, our intelligence, our idiosyncrasies, etc. We think that if bad things happen to us, we're just victims and not responsible in any way. We, of course, see that some people are narcissistic, aggressive, envious, grandiose, and manipulative, but we believe that these are just a few bad apples and that we ourselves have none of these qualities. What often happens is that at a fairly young age, burdened with such delusions, we enter the work world, and reality suddenly slaps us in the face. We discover that some people have fragile egos and can be devious, and not at all what they seem. We're blindsided by their indifference or sudden acts of betrayal. Being ourselves and just saying what we think can land us in all kinds of trouble. We come to realize that the work world is riddled with political games that nobody has prepared us for. Some of our career decisions, based on the desire for money and attention, lead to emotional burnout, disenchantment, and dead ends. And by not looking at ourselves in an honest way and glossing over our own flaws and weaknesses, we become trapped in patterns of behavior that we cannot control. As the years go by and the misreadings, missteps, and unrealistic decisions pile up, we can become bitter, confused, and damaged. The Daily Laws is designed to reverse these toxic patterns and to reconnect you to reality. It takes aim at the various delusions we have all absorbed and seeks to attune your mind instead to the most entrenched traits of human nature and how our brains actually operate. Its goal is to transform you into a radical realist, so that when the book is finished, you will continue on your own to see people and events through this clarifying lens and become ever more sensitive to the dangers and opportunities in your social environment. This is based on 25 years of intense research on the subjects of power, persuasion, strategy, mastery, and human nature. It is the distillation of all the lessons in my books. It's Robert Greene talking. The entries in the first 3 months will help rid you of all the external voices telling you about which career path to follow, and instead will connect you to your own voice, to what makes you unique, to your purpose and calling in life. Once this connection is made, you will have a guide for all your subsequent career decisions. These entries will show that what matters is not education or money, but your persistence and the intensity of your desire to learn. That failures, mistakes, and conflicts are often the best education of all, and how true creativity and mastery emerge from all of this. The next 3 months will train you to see the political nature of the work world and how dangerous it is to take appearances for reality. They will help you to recognize the toxic types before they immerse you in their emotional maelstroms, and teach you how to consciously outwit the great manipulators out there. The ensuing 3 months will attempt to show you, so he's breaking down the year into quarters. The next 3 months will attempt to show you how real persuasion and influence work, not by thinking first of yourself and saying what's on your mind, but from getting into the mindset of others and appealing to their self-interest. They will also help you to become a superior strategist in life, effectively advancing those causes you so deeply believe in and realizing your goals. And the last 3 months will immerse you in the underlying motivations that drive human behavior, including your own. By making you reflect on who you are and realize that you are a flawed human being like everyone else, you will not only have greater empathy and acceptance for people, but you will have the key to altering your own negative patterns. These entries will show you that by confronting your deepest fears about morality, you can open yourself up to the truly awesome nature of life, appreciating every moment that remains to you for absorbing its sublimity. Is that right? Sublimity. He's writing a book on the sublime next, I think. The entries have been culled from 5 of my books, and from part of the book I am currently working on, The Law of the Sublime. There you go. From interviews and talks over the years, and from blog posts and online essays I have written. At the end of each entry, there's a daily entry here. He writes for one day, a little bit from each book. I share the title and the chapter of the book and the entries come from, so that you can deepen your study in any specific area. Each month has a specific title and sub-theme, and begins with a short essay. These essays illustrate the connection of the ideas in my books to my own experiences, the hardships that I have encountered, and the realistic lessons I have derived from them. This book can be read in a pick-and-choose manner, skipping around as you desire, fitting the ideas into your own issues at this particular moment in your life. But it is best to read the daily laws from cover to cover, beginning with whichever date the book happens to land in your hands. In this way, the book will immerse you in each subject, infiltrating your mind and helping you develop the essential habit of seeing things as they are. As part of this habit, it's best to take notes as often as you can, relating the entries to your own experiences, past and present. It is even better to occasionally put some of the ideas into practice and reflect on the real-world experiences that ensue. Finally, consider the daily laws as a kind of, I don't know this word there, Robert. I'll have to look it up later. The development. Oh, goodness. He's using a German word for the development. It's an educational novel. It was a literary genre that began in the 18th century and continues into the present. In these stories, the protagonists, often quite young, enter life full of naive notions. The author takes them on a journey through a land teeming with miscreants, rogues, and fools. Slowly, the protagonists learn to shed themselves of their various illusions as the real world educates them. And they come to see the reality that is infinitely more interesting and richer than all of the fantasies they had been fed on. They emerge enlightened, battle-tested, and wise beyond their years. The daily laws will take you, the protagonist, on a similar journey through a land full of dangerous and toxic types of people, helping you shed your illusions and hardening you for the battles ahead so that you may find solace and pleasure in seeing people in the world in their true light. And then he has a quote here. He says, "We are not provided with wisdom. We must discover it for ourselves after a journey through the wilderness which no one else can take for us. The lives that you admire, the attitudes that seem noble to you, are not the result of training at home by a father or by masters at school. They have sprung from beginnings of a very different order, by reaction from the influence of everything evil or commonplace that prevailed around them. They represent a struggle and a victory. Marcel Proust. Well, I have January starting here. I'm just going to make these little short videos. So that was the introduction. And you know what? I'll go ahead and read the introduction to January as well. And then tomorrow, I'll just have to relabel my video, and I'll start with the next day, the first day tomorrow. So this is January, your life's tasks. Planting the seeds for mastery. All of us are born unique. This uniqueness is marked genetically in our DNA. We are a one-time phenomenon in the universe. Our exact genetic makeup has never occurred before, nor will it ever be repeated. For all of us, this uniqueness first expresses itself in childhood through a certain primal inclinations. They are forces within us that come from a deeper place than conscious words can express. They draw us to certain experiences and away from others. As these forces move us here or there, they influence the development of our minds in a very particular way. Let us state it in the following way. At your birth, a seed is planted. That seed is your uniqueness. It wants to grow, transform itself, and flower into its full potential. It has a natural, assertive energy to it. Your life's task is to bring that seed to flower, to express your uniqueness through your work. You have a destiny to fulfill. The stronger you feel and maintain it as a force, a voice, or in whatever form, the greater your chance for fulfilling this life's tasks and achieving mastery. The month of January is all about discovering and developing your life's task, your purpose, what you were put here to do. I had known from a very young age, perhaps the age of 8, that I wanted to become a writer. I had a tremendous love of books and of words. I thought at first when I was young, I would be a novelist. But after graduating university, I had to make a living, and I realized being a novelist was too impractical. And so, living in New York, I drifted into journalism as a way to at least make a living. Then one day, after several years of working as a writer and editor, I was having lunch with a man who had just edited an article I had written for a magazine. After downing his third martini, he finally admitted to me why he had asked me to lunch. "You should seriously consider a different career," he told me. "You're not writer material. Your work is too undisciplined. Your style is too bizarre. Your ideas, they're just not relatable to the average reader. Go to law school, Robert. Go to business school. You spare yourself the pain." At first, these words were like a punch in the stomach. But in the months to come, I realized something about myself. I'd entered a career that did not suit me, and my work reflected this incompatibility. I had to get out of journalism. This realization initiated a period of wandering in my life. I traveled all across Europe. I worked every conceivable job. I did construction work in Greece, taught English in Barcelona, worked as a hotel receptionist in Paris and a tour guide in Dublin, served as a trainee for an English company making television documentaries. I tried writing novels and plays. I wandered back to Los Angeles, California, where I was born and raised. I worked in a detective agency, among other odd jobs. I entered the film business, working as an assistant to a director, as a researcher, story developer, screenwriter. In these long years of wandering, I had totaled some 60 different jobs. By the year 1995, my parents, God bless them, were beginning to get seriously worried about their son. I was 36 years old, and I had seemed lost and unable to settle into anything. I had moments of great doubt and even depression, but I did not feel lost. Something inside kept pushing and guiding me. I was searching and exploring. I was hungry for experiences, and I was continually writing. That same year, while I was in Italy for yet another job, I met a man there named Joost Elfers, a packager and producer of books. One day while we were walking along the quails of Venice, Joost asked me if I had any ideas of a book. Suddenly, seemingly out of nowhere, an idea just gushed out of me. I told Joost that I was constantly reading books on history, and the stories that I read of Julius Caesar and the Borgias and Louis XIV, these were the exact same stories that I had personally witnessed with my own eyes in all my different jobs, only less bloody. People want power and they want to disguise this wanting of power. And so they play games. They covertly manipulate and intrigue, all the while presenting a nice, even saintly front. I would expose those games. As I was improvising this pitch to him, which would eventually become my first book, The 48 Laws of Power, I felt something click inside of me. I felt this tremendous sense of excitement welling up. It felt natural. It felt like destiny. When I saw that he was excited, I became even more excited. He said that he loved the idea and that he would pay me to live while I wrote half the book, and then he would try to sell it to a publisher, himself being the packager, designer, and producer of it. When I returned home to Los Angeles and began working on the 48 Laws, I knew this was my one chance in life, my one avenue of escaping all the years of wandering. So I went all in. I put every single ounce of energy I had into it. Because either I would make this book a success or I would end up a failure in life. And I poured into this book all the lessons I have learned, all my training as a writer, all the discipline I'd gained from journalism, all the good and bad experiences I accumulated in my 60 different jobs, all the horrible bosses that I had dealt with. And my pent-up excitement in writing the book could be felt by the reader. And much to my surprise, and beyond anything I'd imagined, the book had tremendous success. Now, looking back on all this some 25 years later, I realized that that thing that was pushing me and guiding me that I mentioned earlier was a sense of purpose, a sense of destiny. It was like this voice inside of me whispering, don't give up, keep trying, keep trying. This voice, which had first appeared to me as a child, was guiding me toward my life's task. It took me many years, many experiments, many mistakes and obstacles, but it kept me advancing and oddly hopeful. And now, many books later, I remain dedicated to that task. Like every person, I still need that sense of purpose to guide me day in and day out. Each book I write has to feel like it's part of that destiny, like it was meant to happen. And this sense of purpose I've had for my whole life that became so much clearer 25 years ago is what I believe has guided me through all the hard moments of my life. And I think it could do that for anybody. Once you sense it within you, once you search for it, the real lesson here is that it took me a long time to get there with many twists and turns. And so it can come even later in life, in your 30s or 40s and beyond. But my existence forever changed the moment I embraced my life's task. That's the intro. That's the intro of Robert Greene's book, The Daily Laws. We'll start out tomorrow with January 1st and make a video about January 1st. Let's hear that video. Let's see. Let's take that off. And let's put back on Uncle Eddie. Give me 1 second. Let's see if I can get him on here. Let's do it just right. Here we go. I just got to click around. And I'll go back here and I'll put him on so you guys can see him. And then I'll push play. Here we go.
Players who implement strategies that get focused and intense, they win decades. They win multiple championships. You win for 2 or 3 years. You know how many guys I've known that have made money for 2, 3, 4 years that are ass broke now? You want to win? You want to be a millionaire? You got to quit being so casual. You walk slow, you talk slow, you implement things slow, you talk a good game. Around a dude like me, we will smash your organization. We come to play. We're for real. What are you? Cool? You're going to get your ass kicked in business, dude. Business is a sport. It's competitive. You got to get focused. You meet somebody wealthy, their family at one point was not wealthy. And then the one shows up. The one. One person changes a family tree forever. In my family, I'm the one. I want to win. I want to fight for my family. I want my mom and dad proud of me. I want my kids proud of me. I want me proud of me. Players who implement strategies that get